So the LiveWire TS Plus tuner from SCT is specifically designed for the 14 to 16 5.3 liter powered Silverados. And simply put, this is going to be the tuner that you should check out if you're looking for something that has a nice large full color touchscreen. What I also like about the TS Plus tuner is with the preloaded tunes, you can actually get some extra horsepower and torque out of your truck. We actually ran our truck on the dyno, and bone stock our truck made 281 horsepower and 305 pound-feet of torque. We then uploaded the tune on the device to our truck, and we bumped up our octane rating to 91 from 87, and our truck ended up making 291 horsepower and 316 pound-feet of torque. So that's a net gain of 10 horsepower and 11 pound-feet of torque with very consistent curve gains. Those curve gains are really nice because that's actually what you're going to feel when you're driving around on the streets. Besides performance gains, the TS Plus tuner provides some other cool features. You can actually run gauges, and you can data log your truck in real time, which is certainly nice if you're custom tuning your truck or you're troubleshooting things. And on that troubleshooting note, you can actually read and clear trouble codes or check engine lights, if you will. So it's safe to say this is a nice way to save a little bit of money in terms of time and labor and figure some things out on your own. So if you like all the features of the TS Plus tuner and you like the sound of those performance gains without actually turning any wrenches, you should stick around. I'm going to show you guys how to tune your truck from start to finish, and I'm going to walk you through all those features of the tuner itself as well. So to start using the LiveWire TS Plus tuner, it's pretty straightforward. All you got to do is plug it into the OBD2 port, which in the case of our truck, it's located just underneath and to the left of the steering column. You're going to use the provided cable like so. All right, now once you have the LiveWire TS plugged in and set up with the provided windshield mount, you can start using the device. It's really user-friendly. Again, this is a touch screen. There are no buttons to press. Now, if this is the first time you're using the LiveWire TS, you want to make sure that it is mapped to your vehicle's ECU. To do that, you're going to click on Configuration. Once you click that, it's going to display the vehicle category. In our case, since we're using our Chevy Silverado, it displays GM gasoline. That way we know it's correct. Once you've verified your configuration, click Continue. So to tune your truck, you're going to select Program Vehicle. It's going to give you a little street use notice. It's just a legal disclaimer. Go ahead and click Continue. Make sure your key is in the on position before you tune your truck as well. Now once you start tuning your truck, you're going to select one of the preloaded tunes if you're not working with any custom tunes. If you are working with custom tunes and you've downloaded them, they would display here. We're not working with any custom tunes. We're only interested in seeing what the device can do with the preloaded tunes. So we're going to select the appropriate vehicle, which in our case is our 5.3 liter Silverado. Now the only change that we're going to make to our truck is our octane rating. Our truck runs on 87. We're going to bump it up to 91. That's considered a performance tune, and we should see some pretty decent gains in doing so. There are some other changes you can make in this preloaded tune file. However, if you're not careful, you can certainly cause more trouble than it's worth. Talking about advancing your timing, changing your spark, and changing other metrics for your engine. You'll really want to do some good research and know what you're doing before you make any changes to these parameters. Otherwise, again, you could cause some issues mechanically. Again, since we're only changing our octane rating, we're going to select Approve. And again, it's going to tune your transmission, it's going to tune your shift points and firm those up. Just make sure you select the correct vehicle. Again, in our case, it's our 5.3 liter Silverado. You can make manual changes to your transmission shift points. We're not going to do that. We're going to let the preloaded tune do it for us, so we're going to click Approve. It's going to ask you to confirm that the information you've selected and the changes you've made to the preloaded tune are accurate. Once you've verified that, click Continue. Now at this point, the LiveWire is going to begin installing your new tune file. It's also very important that you do not turn your key into the off position, and it's very important that you do not unplug the tuner. Doing so could cause some issues with the install, could actually cause your ECU to lock up, so it's very important that you leave everything as it sits until it is completely finished installing. All right, now once the LiveWire has uploaded the tune file, it's going to ask you to turn your key in the off position, and then go ahead and click Continue. And once the LiveWire has powered down your vehicle electronically, that's all there is to it. Your downloaded tune is now complete. Now when you go to change the gauges, there are a couple ways to go about it. You can click on a gauge once to view a drop-down menu and change the gauge itself. If you double tap on the gauge, you can actually edit the way it is displayed. Now this is the gauge and data logging home screen. You have a digital tachometer style gauge like you'd see on your gauge cluster right here, and then you have two other gauges displaying numeric values. We're going to show you how to change this layout in a little bit, but first we're going to show you how to display different gauges and values. To change each of these gauges, you're going to double click these. It's going to bring you to the edit screen for each individual gauge. You can change the item itself, which will display different numeric values based on what your ECU is monitoring, and you can change the unit of measurement or the unit of display. So if you want to change one of the gauges, go ahead and click Item, and it's going to show you all the available gauges that you can display in real time. There are a ton of different options, so we're not going to get into too much detail with each one, but we're going to select a different gauge to view. In this case, let's take a look at our engine coolant temperature. You're just going to select it on the left-hand side, and we want to change our unit of measurement from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let's go ahead and click on that and select the new unit display type. Now, depending on the gauge itself, you can also change the range that it's displayed in. We're going to leave that stock for now. So as you can see, our top gauge now matches our bottom gauge. Since we have a duplicate here, let's go ahead and show you how to do that one more time. We're going to change this bottom one. And we're going to monitor our short-term fuel trim for bank 2 of our cylinder heads. In this case, there is no unit of measurement to change because it is a binary value. Now, if you want to change the tachometer style gauge, it's the same exact process, just double click it. And again, go ahead and select Item. And in the case of the tachometer gauge, you can actually select all the existing values that those other numeric gauges would otherwise show. Let's go ahead and change this one to a different value. We're going to go ahead and check our ignition voltage just for the fun of it. Now you can see stock unit again is in volts. You can change those values if you want to. We're going to leave that as is. So that's how to actually change the individual gauges for data logging. If you want to change the entire layout of the screen itself, you're just going to click once. It's going to bring up these options here for layout and configuration. If you want to, again, change how these are viewed, select Layout. Now this is the default layout as you can see, but if you scroll down, you can select different ones. We're going to change this to an all numeric layout. And you can see this opens up the option to view a lot more data in real time. Now if you want to data log your truck and you want to view that information at a later time, maybe you want to download it to a computer, you're going to single click and you're going to select Record. As you can see, the record button turned red. This means that the LiveWire TS is now building a file and it's going to record all of the ECU's metrics until you stop recording. You also have a little record notification here in the bottom right corner. When you're done recording, all you got to do is single click again and hit the record button, and that file will be saved for later use inside the LiveWire itself. Now, if you're done viewing these gauges and data logging, it's really easy to get back to the home screen. Again, you're just going to single click and you're going to click Exit. The cool thing that the LiveWire TS Plus does is it allows you to conduct performance tests. You can monitor a couple of different things. You can benchmark your 0 to 60 times as well as your quarter mile and your braking times. We're going to show you how to do the 0 to 60 time. Keep in mind these instructions apply for both of the other tests. Make sure your key's in the on position before you get started. Now for the 0 to 60 test, it's going to take you to a gauge/data log screen. To get started with the test, all you're going to do is hit Start on the device, and you're going to mash the throttle and get to 60 as fast as you can. Before you do so, this is going to ask you to confirm your vehicle weight with a pop-up screen. We already did so we've taken care of that. Once you've done that, again, going from 0 to 60, it's going to record that time and it's going to display it on this gauge for you. It's a really great way to benchmark your vehicle. Now, the other cool thing that the LiveWire allows you to do is read and clear trouble codes. So if you have a check engine light on your truck, you can actually figure out what's causing it and you can actually get rid of it. To do that, you're going to select Vehicle Functions. Now, if you do have that check engine light, it's really simple. All you gotta do is click on Read DTC Codes. If your truck has a check engine light, it's gonna pop up on here. Before you do that, make sure your key's in the on position. Now, our truck is perfectly fine. We don't actually have any issues, so we don't have any codes to display. But if you did have a check engine light, it would display it here. And if you want to clear that code, it's equally simple. All you got to do is click on Clear DTC Codes. Again, make sure your key's in the on position before doing so. Now, this will take a second, but once the process is complete, your dash should be free and clear of any of those check engine lights. Keep in mind, however, if you don't actually fix the issue, that light will probably come back. Now, the other thing under vehicle functions is special functions. Basically, this is only meant for advanced engine work under crank relearn. This is not something you should be touching unless you know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, you don't have to have me explain it to you. It's best to say you probably don't want to touch this unless you know what you're doing. Now, besides gauges and data logging and performance tests and reading and clearing codes, there's a couple other things that the LiveWire does, which is pretty convenient. To view all the other options, you're going to click this right arrow here. It's going to show you the option to view your vehicle info, your device info, device settings, and your Wi-Fi and update functions. Under vehicle info, it's just a convenient way to pull some basic information from your truck without actually having to pop the hood. You can check your VIN. You can also check any ECU data. This is especially helpful if you're tuning your truck or if you're troubleshooting anything electronically. And as far as device info is concerned, this is simply going to tell you what firmware you're using. It's going to also provide the serial number for the device, and it's going to tell you whether preloaded tuning and custom tuning is supported, which obviously it is in the case of the LiveWire TS. This is also really going to be useful if you're ever troubleshooting or doing any custom tuning and you're working with somebody digitally. Now, under device settings, you can make some basic changes as well. You can change the brightness of the screen on here for daytime driving as well as nighttime driving. By default, daytime brightness is going to be at 100% and nighttime brightness will be at 50%. If you get a little tired of the default blue color scheme, you can also change that under here. You can change it to red, and if you are sensitive to LCD screens, you can change it to a dark setting as well. Now, there are a couple of other device settings in here, but I'm only going to talk about one of the most important ones down towards the bottom. If you ever make a bunch of changes to your truck or the device itself and you want to basically undo everything and revert everything back to stock, you can select Factory Reset here. This is going to completely delete all custom tunes and it's going to restore your factory tune on your truck. It's also going to reset the device and any settings that you may have changed. And we haven't done anything to our truck yet, so we're not going to go through that process. Now, one of the really cool things that I really like about the LiveWire tuner is the ability to update wirelessly. To do that, you're going to select the update option here. It's really simple here. You're going to configure a Wi-Fi connection before you do this. So go ahead and click on Configure Wi-Fi, and it's going to scan for any available connections, just the same way that your smartphone would. Now, since this is the first time using our LiveWire TS Plus, we want to make sure it's up to date. So we're going to connect to our AmericanTrucks Wi-Fi connection, and we're going to run through how to actually update the device. Now, once you've connected to your Wi-Fi connection of choice, it's going to give you a little confirmation screen letting you know you've successfully connected. Go ahead and click OK. Once you've done so, you can check for updates by clicking the option above. It's going to let you know an internet connection is required. We're good, we just connected, so we're going to click Continue. Now, once you've connected to your Wi-Fi, you can check for updates by clicking on the option above. Our device is actually up to date, so we don't need to do so. Next thing, we're going to actually show you how to tune your truck. So you can see this little tuner is packed with plenty of features, and it's pretty easy to use, and you do get some pretty nice performance gains once you upload that tune. That actually wraps up my review and install of the TS Plus tuner from SCT, fitting your 14 to 16 5.3 liter powered Silverado. I'm Travis. Thanks for watching. For all things Chevy, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.